You don't get a phone call. You get a finger in a box, and it belongs to your son. The ice in your glass has stopped melting. You notice that first before the box, before the smell, before your wife's voice disappeared into something that wasn't screaming but was worse than screaming. The ice just stopped. Like the air in the room had agreed to hold still out of respect for what was happening. The box is small, craft brown, the kind a deli uses for a sandwich order. Your name is written on it in blue marker, not your real name, your other name, the one only 4 people on Earth know. 3 of them are in this room. The 4th is 8 years old and was supposed to be at school. Your security man, Tomas, is looking at the floor. In 11 years, you have never seen Tomas look at the floor. The number written on the inside lid in the same blue marker is $10 million. Below it, one sentence. You have until the mango harvest. You don't know what that means yet. You will learn it means 6 weeks. You will also learn that the harvest came early this year. But that comes later. First, let's go back to how a man ends up in a kitchen in Guadalajara with a number that size and a box that small. You were born in Culiacan in 1974, which means you were born inside the machine before the machine had a name. Your father drove a truck. Your uncle managed a warehouse. Your cousin handled what your uncle couldn't say out loud. This is how it worked in rings, in layers, in polite silence over Sunday meals where nobody asked what the new truck cost or why your cousin always paid in cash and never seemed to age with worry the way other men did. You were smart. Everyone said so. The priests, the teachers, the man at the corner who watched children the way farmers watch weather looking for what might be useful later. Smart meant you read fast. Smart meant you remembered numbers. Smart meant, in Culiacan in 1974, that someone would eventually find a use for you that had nothing to do with trucks or warehouses. Your mother kept a clean house and a quiet mouth. She lit candles for San Judas Tadeo, the patron of impossible causes, every Thursday without fail. You thought this was ordinary devotion. You were 26 before you understood she was lighting them for your father, for your uncle, for your cousin, for everyone she loved who operated in the space between possible and impossible. She was lighting them for you. The first number you ever moved was $40,000 sitting in a gym bag in the footwell of a Nissan Suru, driven from Culiacan to Mazatlan on a Tuesday afternoon when you were 19. You were told it was a test of loyalty. It was actually a test of nerve. You passed. You didn't sweat. You ate a torta at a roadside stand halfway and thought about a girl named Fernanda who worked at the pharmacy. That was the first transaction. There would be, over the following 2 decades, approximately 4,200 more. By 2003, you are not a driver. You are a contador, an accountant, though that word is too small and too clean for what you actually do. What you actually do. You make money disappear and reappear as something legitimate, something taxable, something that can be explained to a bank in Houston or a property agent in Miami or a lawyer in Panama City who has learned not to look too directly at anything. Your infrastructure is elegant. 3 shell companies registered in the Cayman Islands feed into 2 operating businesses, a logistics firm in Monterrey and a seafood export company on the Pacific coast, which funnel revenue through a real estate holding entity based in Guadalajara. The holding entity owns 7 residential properties, 2 commercial buildings, and a small hotel near the airport that operates at a consistent, unremarkable 67% occupancy rate. The money that enters this system is narco profit. The money that exits looks like rental income, freight margins, and fish sales. You have a mentor. His name is Don Aurelio. He is 61 years old, wears Guayabera shirts in pale yellow, and speaks so quietly that everyone in every room always leans slightly toward him. Don Aurelio taught you the system. He also taught you the rule. The money is never yours. You are a river, not a lake. It flows through you. The moment you think it belongs to you, you are already dead and just haven't been told yet. You have a partner, Rodrigo, who handles the street-level relationships you don't touch. Rodrigo is loud where you are quiet, instinctive where you are systematic. You have been told you are brothers by men who use that word as both compliment and contract. You have a wife, Elena. She knows what Thursday candles mean. She lights them too. And you have a son, Mateo, 8 years old, obsessed with dinosaurs and goalkeepers and the question of whether sharks dream. This is your world. It has rules. It has logic. It has, you have convinced yourself, a kind of stability because the money is always accurate, the accounts always balance, and a man who makes the numbers work is, in your understanding of this universe, protected by his usefulness. This is what you believe your life is. You are wrong about the last part. First revelation. In January 2009, a wire transfer of $2.3 million goes to the wrong account. Not dramatically wrong, one digit, transposed in a routing number. The money lands in a legitimate commercial account belonging to a tile manufacturer in Hermosillo. It is recovered within 72 hours, no external exposure. You fix it, report it upward, absorb the correction. What you don't know, the tile company is owned by a cousin of a lieutenant of a rival organization. The recovery of that wire, the phone calls, the pressure applied, the way it was handled, leaves a data point in someone else's ledger. A small one, a dot. You don't think about it again. Second revelation. In 2011, Rodrigo begins moving volume that isn't in your numbers, not dramatically 8% above what you're accounting for. Based on the logistics manifests that cross your desk and the fuel receipts from the Monterrey operation that don't quite match the declared route mileage, you raise it with him. He tells you there's a secondary arrangement above your clearance level. You accept this. In your world, partial information is not suspicious, it is standard architecture. What this actually means, Rodrigo has made a private arrangement with a cell operating outside your organization's primary structure. The money, approximately $6 million over 14 months, is running parallel to your system, invisible to Don Aurelio, exposed to a counterparty your organization has not vetted, blessed, or controlled. You are the accountant. The parallel flow carries your structural fingerprints even though you never touched it. Third revelation, the one that changes everything. March 2013, Don Aurelio calls you to a meeting at the seafood company. He is not wearing yellow. He is wearing gray, which you have never seen, and it makes him look like a building that has lost its foundations but hasn't yet fallen. He tells you calmly, in the way he tells you everything, that Rodrigo has been skimming from a counterparty you were never supposed to know, existed a financial relationship with a faction in Sinaloa operating under protections that extend to people far above Don Aurelio's altitude. The total shortfall, including interest calculated at the rate such parties calculate interest, is $10 million. Rodrigo, Don Aurelio tells you, is no longer available to address this. He says it exactly like that. No longer available. You ask who the claim is against. Don Aurelio looks at you with something close to sorrow, the look of a man who has watched a river become a lake. The operation is registered in your name, he says, all of it. The shells, the holding entity, the logistics company. When Rodrigo built the parallel channel, he built it using your architecture. Your signatures. You are, on paper, the man who owes $10 million to people who sent a finger in a sandwich box. The ice in your glass has stopped melting. 6 weeks. You move Mateo and Elena to her sister's house in Querétaro. Inside 48 hours. You do not explain fully. Elena doesn't ask for full. She packs the dinosaur books. You liquidate. The hotel sells in 11 days at a 30% loss to a buyer who you suspect is a front for the same people you owe buying your asset at discount while the debt clock runs. You see the elegance of it and hate that you see it. The seafood company's accounts are frozen by a regulatory action that appears on day 16, not criminal administrative, the kind that takes 6 months to resolve. Someone filed a form. Someone always files a form. Day 22. Don Aurelio has a stroke. Genuine, you're told. His right side doesn't move. He cannot speak clearly. The man who knew the full map of your situation, who could contextualize, negotiate, intercede, is in a hospital in Culiacan squeezing a rubber ball with a hand that mostly doesn't respond. You visit him once. He squeezes your hand with his working left. His eyes are still the same. He tries to say something. The nurse thinks it's the name of a saint. You think it's a number. You'll never know which. You are now alone. with $3.2 million liquidated, $6.8 million short, 20 days remaining, and a name, your other name, written in blue marker on a craft brown box. Tomas, who has looked at the floor once in 11 years, is now looking at it a lot. There is a man. There is always a man. His name, or the name he uses, is Castellanos. He operates in the space between organizations, a fixer, a translator of violence into transaction. He has resolved situations like yours before. Not many, but some. Castellanos tells you there is an arrangement available. The counterparty will accept $5 million cash, the full transfer of the logistics company including its contracts and route relationships, and a 5-year service obligation, your skills, your systems, your brain, working directly inside their financial architecture. No more distance, no more elegant layers. You, inside the machine, running their numbers from the inside. In exchange, Mateo comes home, Elena comes home. Your name, your real name, stays clean. You are protected by your usefulness, which is the only protection that has ever meant anything in this world. Castellanos puts the paper in front of you. It is not actually paper, it is a verbal agreement in a restaurant in Guadalajara over coffee you don't drink, with 2 men at the door who are not waiting for a table. You can see it, the life on the other side of this signature, smaller, caged, but survivable. Elena, lighting candles on Thursdays. Mateo, growing up. The dinosaur books. The question about whether sharks dream. You sit with the pen metaphorically. You sit with the answer. You breathe. You don't sign. Not because you are brave. Bravery has nothing to do with this. You don't sign because you understand in that restaurant, with coffee cooling in front of you and 2 men at the door, what Don Aurelio was trying to tell you for 20 years. The money is never yours, and neither are you. You were always a component. Every elegant system you built, every shell company, every laundered dollar that became a rental receipt, you were constructing your own cage and calling it a career. Signing this paper doesn't put you inside the machine. It only makes the walls visible. The man who owes the cartel $10 million and the man who pays it are both already gone. What gets up and walks out of the restaurant is something that knows the difference between survival and continuation. The reframing line. A free man who owes everything is still free. A man who pays with himself owns nothing, including himself. You make the call that costs you the $5 million, the company, and every structure you ever built but leaves you with the one thing they cannot put a number on. You don't get the exit they promised. There is no clean ending. What happens instead is this. Somewhere in Querétaro, a woman lights candles on Thursday, and a boy draws a Spinosaurus with the careful focus of someone who does not yet know that the world has edges. And every Thursday, for the rest of whatever this is, you will not be in that room. You will be somewhere else moving, careful, smaller than your name, paying a debt that money was never going to clear. The ice never melts now. You stopped using ice. This story is fictional, but the financial architecture at its center is not. Money laundering through layered shell corporations, logistics front companies, and real estate vehicles is the documented operational model of multiple Mexican cartels, including structures investigated and partially dismantled in Operation Casablanca. The Sinaloa financial prosecutions of 2014 through 2019, and the ongoing FinCEN files reporting on cross-border narco finance. The Contador, the cartel accountant, is one of the most operationally critical and personally endangered roles in organized crime. They know too much to be released and too little to be fully trusted. The specific question for you: at what moment did you realize the false resolution was actually a trap? Was it when Castellanos named the 5-year service obligation, or did you see it earlier? Follow for more stories built at the edge of money, power, and the systems that outlast everyone inside them.